Hello, my name is Darren Thomas, and I am the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this particular video, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to place different groups, several groups, inside what we call in Moodle groupings. In case you've forgotten, a grouping is a collection of several groups, how it works out like that. This is a useful technique for, if several people are sharing the same course and they want to keep track of their own students. That is one reason why you might want to make several different groupings. So having said that, let me just go ahead and show you our objectives for today. We're going to create several groups with the auto group feature in Moodle. This is something we've done before. Just going to recap that. Then I'm going to demonstrate how to assign groups to a grouping. There are at least two different ways to do this inside Moodle. One is while you're making the groups, and the other one is after the groups are already made. And then lastly, we're going to examine the overview feature that is also available in Moodle when you're dealing with groups and groupings. So having said that, as you can see, I'm already logged into my Moodle course. And in order to do the groupings, I need to go down here and click on users and then click on groups. And here you can see I'm in the group page right here. So the first thing I need to do in this particular class is make the groups. So I click on Auto Create Groups, and again, we've already talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about this too much here. I'm just going to make 6 groups, students randomly. And one thing I want to show you right here is the grouping bar at the bottom. If I click on this, right now it says no grouping. But if I want, I can assign all the groups can be assigned to one grouping right now. And of course, I have to give the grouping a name. So I'm going to do this real quick. So we're going to call this grouping 1. Grouping 1. That's what we're going to call it. So everything is set up. So what's going to happen here is Moodle is going to make 6 groups. And all of these groups are going to be assigned to grouping number 1. Grouping 1 is what we're going to call it. So we're going to click submit here, and you can see everything is here. So I have my 6 groups. They're all group A, group B, group C, group D, group E, group F. And now you're probably wondering about the grouping. If I want to see the grouping, I click on the groupings right here, and you can see right here there's something called grouping number 1. And in grouping number 1 are groups A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So we've already made our groups, and we've already learned one way to assign groups to a grouping, and that is when you do the auto create groups, and then at the same time you assign all those groups that you auto created to the grouping. Now the second way to create groups, to create groupings, is again assuming, let's say you're starting here and you want to say maybe add these guys to a new grouping as shown here. You click on grouping and you click on create grouping. Now one thing I need to mention is that, as I've told you before, an individual person can be a part of several groups in a particular Moodle course. In addition, a particular group can be a part of several groupings. So I'm going to make a grouping called grouping 2. This is what it's called, and if you want, you can even give the grouping a description, which there's no need for that. And I click Save Changes. Now I want to add groups to grouping number 2. To do that, I click on this little man over here that says Show Groups and Grouping. And I can assign them. So let's say I want to put groups C, D, and E in here. I highlight them and I click Add, like so. And then once I'm done with that, I click Back to Groupings. And while it's thinking, there we go. So now I have 2 groupings. Grouping 1 has groups A, B, C, D, E, and F. Grouping 2 has only groups C, D, and E. Now notice carefully, group C is in both groupings, group D is in both groupings, and group E is in both groupings. As I told you before, a group can be a part of more than one grouping. Now, this is one of the more confusing features about Moodle, but again, examples of using this include a large class where you have several teachers using one particular course. Each teacher can have several groups for their for their grouping, and then their grouping can belong to the teacher. Also, this allows you to hide certain things from certain groupings and certain groups, as an example. So when you're setting up activities, maybe only grouping 1 will have access to it. And then that means the groups in grouping 1 will be able to participate in that activity. So it can get very confusing, but we just want to show you how to use it. The actual application is up to you. One last thing we want to look at is the Overview tab. So if you click on Overview, it shows you the groupings, and it shows you who's in each group, and it even tells you how many people are in the group. And if you click on the different names, you can actually see the person's profile. So you can see here we have 2 groupings, and it tells you the groups that are in each grouping and the names of the people in the group that is in that grouping. So that is the beautiful thing about Moodle and all of the different activities. You can also filter the different groupings if you so desire, or you can filter it by groups. It's just interesting. So if I click back here on groups, this is the home page kind of for this particular section. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. What we've done in this particular video is we've looked at how to create groupings. One way was when you're auto creating groups, and the second way was when you actually click on the grouping tab and you create a new grouping. The second thing we did was we looked at the Overview tab, which allows you to see the different groupings you have already created, as well as the groups in the grouping and the names of the people in the groups that are in that grouping. Also, please keep in mind, like I've told you already several times, that yes, you can make several different groups. The same group can be in several different groupings, is what I meant to say. And so this can become very confusing, but this is yet another feature that can be used in Moodle. So thank you very much for listening. Take care.